Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. I am so excited to have someone that I am very inspired by. I feel like she is one of the people that I look up to. She's very young and she has been doing a lot for, especially for South Africa, and it's amazing on how she does stuff. I want to say that the channel, my personal channel, is actually honored to have her in in our space. And I know that it sounds different that I'm inviting someone on my channel, but I'm kind of looking into stuff that I've always wanted to do. Now that I have a channel, I also wanted to always have some interesting, meaningful conversations with people my age, older than me, younger than me, just to hear what they have to say about their lives. And I am happy to introduce Sebe Buthelezi, an award-winning producer for Checkpoint. And I am honored to have you. Welcome, Sebe. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I mean, I'm equally as excited about this conversation.
Oh, wow. I'm over the moon. I think I've told you so many times that I'm excited for the fact that this just started over just a little conversation and now we are here talking like this. It makes me really happy. And for the people that don't know her, once again, it is Sebe Buthelezi from South Africa. I will just let her introduce herself properly. She will, and I would like her to expand if she can.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I'll start with the basics. My name is Sebe, as Zianda has said. I'm a journalist, an investigative journalist in South Africa. I work through various platforms, but right now I'm with a television program called Checkpoint, which is basically like a voice for South Africans. The kind of work that we do is we look at places and situations where there have been injustices. And what we do through telling their stories, we try and bring justice to those individuals or to those places or those situations. So, yeah, that's basically what I've dedicated my life to doing right now.
Like I said, you guys, I told you that she's amazing. Just she's your guy's voice. She's South African voice. Even though I'm far away in South Africa, I still contact her and let her know. Please share your stories. I want to know. Share me a link so I can always keep in touch of this kind of stuff she's doing. But she's already mentioned that she is a journalist. Said, "Babe, I just want to know what drew you to journalism. Like, really, why journalism? Especially to me, I see it as a dangerous industry to be in, especially if you're a female. You go through digging deeper story, exposing yourself to people that can harm you and have no care afterwards. Why journalism?
You know, it's actually a weird story because for me, journalism wasn't a choice. I kind of found myself in the industry. I think for those who don't know, I'm from a place called Sydenham, which is not exactly the softest side of South Africa. It's notorious for drugs, it's notorious for violence. And I mean, as of recent, gangs have started up. So growing up in that kind of environment, it sort of forms aggression in you. And so I identified aggression in myself at a very early age. And, I then decided, okay, it's either I become this aggressive person, but that blows up negatively, or I channel my aggression into something good, which is fighting for others, but like positive fighting. And I think as I was battling between, okay, how do I use my aggression for good? I was called for an interview at a local radio station. And during that interview, the anchor on that show said, "Hey, you have a really nice voice. Like, do you want to read the news for us sometimes?" And okay, I thought it was weird, but I thought, okay, let me not pass up on the opportunity. Let me try this. And I did. And the weirdest thing happened when I walked into, the newsroom and I saw how everything operates. I saw the systems. I just felt at home. And
Mm,
like, when you feel like you're complete, but you didn't even know that you were not complete. It
I
was that
know that
it
feeling.
was that kind of feeling like, oh my gosh, like what is happening? I didn't even know this is what I was missing. And from that moment, I've never looked back. I knew in that moment that, you know what? journalism is what I want to dedicate my life to.
I think at some point we all have that feeling that you say you don't. Sometimes some people do know, they feel like, oh man, there's something missing. I don't think I've achieved what I need to achieve yet. So I totally can relate on that. Based on the same questions that we just asked you, one of the stuff that I also wanted to ask is which issues you are mostly passionate about when working. Like what are the most focused things that you always want to address when you are working?
Okay. So, firstly, I'm fascinated by, what one would call rural areas or places that are otherwise forgotten. Because I feel like for people in the city center, it's easy to get, their voices heard. They know the platforms, they have access to the internet. Making phone calls is much easier for them. And so I try my best to focus on areas that, would otherwise not get the attention or would otherwise not know how to contact places and spaces that would help them with sorting out whatever issues that they have. But also recently, I'm sort of drawn towards the boy child because I've noticed there's
Mm.
so many programs right now that are about girl empowerment, but no one's really teaching these boys how to handle these empowered women. But also, in empowering the girls, let's not ignore the boy child. Fighting for equality means but we're making sure that both girls and boys have a fighting chance. It doesn't mean that we're putting boys at a disadvantage. So let's not do that.
Has to
Let's
balance.
also
Mm.
bring the boy child forward and say, hey, this is how you handle an empowered girl, but also this is how you empower yourself to make sure that 10 years from now, you're not now at a disadvantage. So, yeah, like recently, that's what I've been trying to focus on, bringing attention to the boy child and the issues around that as well, and trying to ensure that we don't forget them.
You see, what you just talked about reminds me of what you posted on your one of your not Instagram, I want to say WhatsApp stories. And I always view your statuses. One of the statuses, it was a link to YouTube. And I don't know, because it's a TV show that's playing at home that I don't want, I can't access it here unless someone gives me a proper access, then I'll be good. But you shared a small clip from whatever the TV show was, and it had a guy actually talking about being raped at the age of 14, if I'm right, which
Mm,
not every guys are ready to talk about those kind of situation, which to me, I feel like I'm happy about South Africa, the way they're heading in terms of those topics, because not every person, especially if you're a male, they're not ready to share that. They will rather die with it than to share it. But right now, South Africa is currently at the point where they want to open out on this. They want to make boys feel. They want to make them feel like they are also heard. They are mostly important to even their cases is as much as important as a female case if they open a case. They shouldn't be made a little or made feel like they are less of a man if they go and open a case against a woman that actually raped them,
mm,
because there's so many damaged boy child around here. Just in home, I don't want to talk about in other countries. I'm just
mm,
focusing at home that there's so many damaged people. But I'm going to get to that topic because there was a part where I have like a question that is directly to something similar to what we just talked about. But to move on, Sebe, where like one of the stuff that I notice is that you as a person, you have a past. There's no way that you a Sebe checkpoint producer. You have a past. There's no
mm.
way that you just blew up from nowhere and she's just there now. We watch her. No. So who was Sebe before journalism? Who was her? Like who can we get to know Sebe before that?
Okay, so Usebe, before journalism, I, for some odd reason, I feel like I was always on a stage somewhere because for as long as I can remember, primary school, I started writing poetry, and so I was performing poetry at different places. I remember I even wrote a play about disclosing an HIV status for children, like making it easier for children. And so that play was acted out at different stages in different primary schools around the area. And so every time I try and think back to young Sebe, it's always it's either in front of a mic on a stage, or I don't know. I don't know. I guess I've always been drawn to speaking out.
I think I would agree on that. I'm sure some people are like, "How will you agree? You guys are just like you in America. How do you know her?" But they don't know that we went to the same high school. So
Uh-huh.
I did not get to talk to her that much in high school, but I did see her. If I believe you are one, like there was a group in school that you were a part of. There was a group that you were in, and I think you were also a prefect.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you are perfect. You are always involved in some group activities at school, or there's something that you're doing representing at school. And plus, she was in one of the what is this class? This good the A classes, the A
Oh,
students.
stop.
Then they look down on us when you were just in like those lower
Not me.
classes. So but yeah, like I can't believe that no, even though I don't know you in primary, but I did get to see a little bit of that in high school. And yes, you always had the spotlight. It might not be a spotlight of TV shows and all that, but you always had eyes looking at you, listening to you.
Mhm.
So yeah, I believe that. But to move on, so in everything you're doing, there is someone who's always contributing. So I would like to know, who is Sebe's mentor? Who's the person who keeps you going even when you don't want to go anymore?
Okay, so I've actually got two. The first would be my boss, who's Nkepi Limabuse. She's gone beyond just the role of management for me. She's like a second mom to me, and so she's opened up this thing of we have a relationship where no matter what I'm feeling, be it my personal life, my work life, I can always go to her and get solid advice. If it's work related, obviously I'm gonna tell her that, oh my gosh, the story is falling apart. And because she has way more experience than I do, she's able to reel me in the right direction, and help me pave a way forward. But mostly for the emotional bits, because I mean, after you leave work, you go home
Hmm.
and you carry yourself home. And the person that really grounds me at home would have to be my partner. Because I
Ooh.
mean, even at work, if my story is falling apart, I'll call him and be like, "Oh my gosh, everything's falling apart." And he always says like one thing to me. He's like, "Yay, you're Sebe Buthelezi. The last time I checked, you don't give up. So whatever it is, go back and fix it because I know you'll fix it." And that always it brings me back to me because I'm like, hey, actually, I can fix it, and then I feel like I'm ready to conquer the world after that. So yeah, like my partner's very instrumental in help in ensuring that I don't give up. And I mean, he's helped me. He's been in the background of all the achievements that I've had.
I can agree on that in so many levels because I have a strong partner too. When I feel like, you know what, I am done. I am done. I don't want to do this anymore. He'll be like, "You sure? You sure you're done?" Like he will make sure that I remember that I why I did this. He'll be like, "Are you sure you're done? Aren't you gonna be the one tomorrow telling me that you're going back to it? It's just
Hmm.
right now you're hurting. So you got this. Keep pushing. Z. I trust you." And when he says he trusts me, sometimes I want to fight it. It's like, it's so easy for you to trust me. I don't trust myself right now.
Hmm.
But forgetting that he already seen me do amazing stuff, move mountains. The mountains, people are like, "Uzianda, no, no, mountains." And he's like, "I know you can do this. It's just right now you have to feel some pain. You have to cry, but cry. We're not saying don't cry, and then dust yourself off and then move on. Go and do it. Go and get what's yours." That's how I always tell myself.
That's
But
the
thank you for
spirit.
that, though. And then in everything, like you said, your partner is one of the people that you kind of lean to when it comes to emotional stuff. And then work related stuff is your mom, like your manager at work. In everything that you say, at the same time, where do you go to receive your inner strength and renewal so you can go back at it every day? Because you did say your partner is one of those people. But at some point, sometimes it's not enough. Where do you receive inner strength then to just keep pushing? If, let's say, you had a fight with him and you don't even want to talk to him, where's your other place where you go to gain strength and renew yourself so you can keep going?
I always go back to 9-year-old me. And because you follow me on social media, I'm sure you've seen my references to my younger self. Um, 9 years for me was a very significant age because we were just going through a lot as a family. And I think that was one of the moments where I really had to grow up like really fast because that's when I realized, oh my gosh, life is not all roses, right? And in the scene that life is not all about roses, I had conversations with myself and I made promises to myself of things that I'd achieve, of things that I do once I'm in a space where my voice can be heard. And so when all else fails, and when I feel like, okay, it's not enough for me to just talk to someone else, I always go back to the 9-year-old girl who made those promises to herself. And
Mm.
especially when, like you said, sometimes you're like, oh, I just want to cry. I just want to be in the moment where I hear you, you say I can achieve it, but just let me have this moment to fall apart. And so when I need that fall apart moment, it's the 9-year-old me that I go back to. And in her, I find the strength because I remember the promises that I made to her. And that's when I'm like, okay, the promises are made.
Towards the end, I
And
lost connection, but I heard everything you said. I just need this connection. South Africa and America, please
to behave.
behave. Behave. But that's actually nice though, because I feel like I can relate to that. I know I've been saying I can relate, I can relate. It's just that you say ages that were the hardest for me too at some points when I was 9 too. And you can't believe the stuff you could do when you're 9. People will be like, oh, they're young. No, for you at the age of 20 something, because I never reveal people's ages, at the age of 20 something, you still find yourself going back to a 9 year old. So that means the 9 year old learned to be strong at a younger age. You
Mm,
find yourself growing, and then when you hit a stumbling block, you tend to go back to the 9 year old that had to learn to be strong, that had to
mm,
learn to like put on big girl shoes and
mm,
tell herself she got this. You got this no matter what. It will pass. Whatever that you are going through, I knew you had in that mentality, you had this too shall pass. It won't stay for long. But
mm,
throughout the time we're going through it, we will make promises to each other, 9 year old me, that we're going to do this and we're going to remember. And it's going to
mm.
always be a reminder of whenever I'm having a hard time, you will remind me why I started and why I did this. Yabo. So that's actually nice though. And then that 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 makes us move on to the other question that I had for you is what is the best advice you have ever received in your life?
Whew, wow.
I know maybe you might have a lot, but just
Right? I'm trying
think about the deep one where you're like, you know what? This one always finds ways to come back.
I think you actually mentioned it just now. That this too shall pass. I feel like that is the greatest advice because we, as people, we have a tendency to just drown in our sorrows and focus on the moment, and we neglect to think that yesterday was a happy day. So there's a possibility that tomorrow will be a happy day. So, when you're in that moment of sorrow, just always remember this too shall pass.
I like that. I like that. If you had to talk to friends that I am good friends with them, or like very good friends with them, they always tell me, okay, when I advise them, I never forget to share one song, and I will share it with you, just so whenever you feel like you are a hot mess right now and you don't know what to do, is I don't know if you've ever watched the movie Me Before You. I love that movie. If you haven't, I would advise you to go and watch it. It's very sad, but it's
It's on
really
my
good.
next list.
And that in that movie, there's a song that plays. I think it's the theme song for the actual movie. It's the main song for the movie, and it says "Not Today." That's the title of the song. throughout the chorus, it has a part where it says it's going to get easier, it's going to get easier, but just not today.
Mm.
That makes me think about how when we are within the moment of going through, that we need to remind ourselves that, hey, it's going to get easier, but just not
Mm.
today. Today we have to fight. Today we have to go through it. We have to feel, we have to allow all the emotions that have been invited by whatever you're going through. But remember that it will get better. But today you have to feel the pain. So that's
That's
what
actually
that
thanks. Yo, that's a solid song right there. I'm on it. I'm gonna search after this.
you better search the movie. Like honestly, you better search the movie, watch the movie, then you'll understand. For me, the movie doesn't relate to what we're saying, right? It does relate, but I feel like the song relates in so many levels.
Mm-hmm.
Like in J, it's on another level. I always That's my go-to song, especially last year when I was sick. That was my go-to song. That okay, I am sick and I feel like it's the end of the world, but it's just happening today or for these couple of months. Afterwards, I'm gonna be fine. And I knew I was gonna be fine because it's 2020 now, and all the symptoms and the sicknesses that I had last year are not here. But when I
God.
was going through, I had to allow the moment to happen, but not find
Mm,
myself getting lost in the moment.
mm.
So yeah, so Sebe, you're kind of making me. I want to get some motivation speak, Kalane.
Yes, yes. I know.
I like this. But here we go again, another questions, because I sure came prepared for you. I tried. I need you to rate me. But
So far, so good.
okay, so what are the most vulnerable lessons learned in your life?
Most valuable lessons.
Yes, that you have learned in your life.
I think firstly, material is replaceable, family is not. I think that's like a key lesson. But also, a belief in yourself is ultimately the most important thing.
That's so true. Believe in that little girl inside you. Because there's
Yeah,
always a little girl. When you cry, just know that that girl is crying because we're like, we have to do this. That little girl that reminds
exactly.
you why we
Remember
even
the
started.
promises to the little girl. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so as a person who does extensive research on topics you cover, we're going back to your work now, that you cover, what do you have to say about the current state of the country, South Africa, and its issues? Most importantly, the gender based violence. What are your input on this? How do you, I know it shakes us all, but what do you have to say about this?
I mean, the situation right now is it's scary to a point where being a woman in South Africa, like you never feel completely safe because you don't know who your abuser might be. Sometimes it's your own father, sometimes the person who claims to love you. So it's just gotten to that state where you live in constant fear. I mean, things as simple as jogging. You'd be going for a jog, and then as soon as you hear that someone is behind, panic set in, because at that moment you don't know whether this person is also just jogging as well, or oh my gosh, this is it. This is the person who now will attack you. And so just constantly, thinking about that, it's insane that as women and as people in this country, we now have reached a point where fear is a part of our everyday lives, and it shouldn't be this way. It shouldn't.
Which what it, like what South Africans don't realize, when I say South African, the people who have the power to try and bring end to this, the people who have the power, who we put on top there to represent us and stand for us. What they don't realize, when we are living in constant fear like that, fear can make you do crazy stuff. Literally,
Mm,
it can make you do crazy stuff. If you're jogging and let's say you had a gun, just for the sake of control at that time, you're jogging, you had
mm,
a gun. And you finally, this person comes and says a word to you, and you're already ready. And they were not even planning. They might have been like, hey, sis, can you tell me the time? I kind of forgot my watch. But because you were so scared, you
It's
already,
that
you know,
fear.
I think of a snake. I love snake, and I will use it as an example. A snake, people always see it as this one vicious animal that is so dangerous. They're forgetting that a snake is actually scared of these giants that it's seeing. You're a giant towards a snake. So a snake, when it sees you, it's already on a defense mode. So that means it's
Mm,
when you come closer without noticing that it's there, it's not gonna
mm,
think about maybe she can't see me. I need to walk away. It's gonna stand there and ready. It just strikes and leave. How long, like for me, I'm just thinking, how long are the government willing to let this go until women are ready to strike? Because I can see it happening now. You have women who are
mm.
ending up getting calls or would say, hey, so and so just murdered husband wife or boyfriend wife. You don't know what triggered that. How many times did she had to take some whip acid from her husband or boyfriend
Yeah,
to a point that she was like, I
yeah.
am so tired. The time imshaya ganya vela cishe ummese amkwazi, because she's fed up. And to me, it's like a snake. A snake is constantly defending itself. Do they want us to always be ready with, okay, who is this person following me? It might be an innocent person who was just planning to jog too, and it happened that you guys are jogging in the same road. And now
Mm.
when you're terrified, you're not even enjoying your peace mind jog. You're trying to think and clear your mind. Now you're living in fear, even regretting jogging from the start. So it's sad. It's sad. I just feel like there's a lot that people in party they can do for us, but they're not doing anything. What role does your career play in your life? And given a chance, will you change anything about it or change it?
Um, I don't know. I'd say at this point, my career is my life because I mean, I can't really walk into a place and see injustice and say, "Hi, I'm not at work. Let me tune out." So I think it's one, and no way, I'd never change what I do. I absolutely love what I do. I mean, you know, when you hear people complain about, oh, I wish I'd found my passion, or oh, I don't like my job. I really can't relate to that kind of thing because I honestly feel like what I do right now is my true calling.
Hmm. Yeah, I hear you. Plus, you made you said something that kind of makes me wish like everyone can feel like that about their job, where the job becomes their life. For you, it's what we cry about and complain about. For you, you get paid to even go and make noise about it.
Right? I
Yabo,
mean, who do you know that that gets paid for minding other people's business? I mean,
business,
right?
business, businesses that can even get you in trouble, that can even kill you. So
Right.
I respect you for that, and I hope you can get protection throughout your journey, because it's I feel like your journey is still gonna get harder when you attack the people that don't want to be attacked, the ones that feel like, you know what, we will want to remove her if she continue doing this. So I applaud you for being so strong and being our voice when we can't be our own voices. So it's
Thank
actually really nice. Last question will be, which makes me sad. I wish I had so many like questions. I wish I could have one-on-ones like this where I can actually talk without even having to record. Sikhulume nje. Asingesibuza nemibuzo. It's actually nice. But the last question is, since you were once a teenager, Sebe, you were once a teenager, what would you say to our youth right now? Also, how did you do with peer pressure during your teenage life? Because you know how the youth is. You were once a youth market. Don't do this. And you'll be like, oh, Ma, you're just so annoying right now. Forgetting that
yeah,
she was once upon a time in that age and she knows
yeah,
exactly where you're heading when you do that.
yeah. You know what? Actually, every single thing that your mom tells you as a teenager is true. When she says ubumnandi abalegi, it's true.
Apeli.
When she says alcohol will always be there, it's not going to run away. It's the truth. When she says focus on school now and you'll deal with boys later, honestly, it's the truth. So, like what I say to the teenagers, just enjoy being a child, actually. Don't be in a rush to grow up. Trust me, when you finally grow up, you're going to want to go back and be a child again. So just
Oh yeah.
just enjoy being a child, enjoy your youth, focus on school, put yourself first. You know, being a teenager is the time to be selfish and really map out what you want to do with your life and yourself. Find your purpose, find what you're good at, um, practice whatever you're good at and perfect it. It's really the time to sort of carve the adult that you're going to become. So you know what? I just say to the younger guys, honestly, just focus on you. Find out who you are. Like just learn about yourself. Give yourself that time to learn about yourself, and that will help you even with peer pressure. Because when you know who you are, it's easier to say no to things that you don't want to do. It's easier to have the courage to stand out in the crowd. If everyone goes left, if you are solid in who you are and you know what you want, it's easy to go left instead of right. You know what I mean?
Hmm. So thank you so much. Like you guys, you don't get how much I am so happy to like that I had you in my channel, and I hope people can enjoy what we were able to bring today into
I hope.
conversation. And I wish the world can have such conversations, whether you're in a bigger platform or lower platform. Like these topics kind of help each other. Asking someone what inspires them, even
Hmm.
beyihlalele ekhaya just chilling, can be a life-changing thing. They're like, hey man, my so and so asked me about this and I didn't know why, and it can just keep running in your head until you find out that, ah man, I really need to know what inspires me, what
Hmm.
drives me, what
Influencing
wakes me,
positive.
yeah, bo. So yeah,
Hmm.
but thank you so much, Seba. Thank you for your time. I hope we can have this one-on-one, even if we are not recording. Just
Right?
have them. They're so
I'm
nice.
open
And
to that.
to top it off, you have a place to visit. So save up some money. Uzongivakashela. I
I'm
would
coming
like
through.
that. But thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you. Thank you. And I hope to my listeners and everyone who'll be viewing this, they can take at least one thing or two, if possible, everything to.
Right. Thank you so much for having me and for allowing me to share my story and even allowing me to ask you questions. You know, I don't take this for granted. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. And from the Hammond family to you and the rest of the South African and America and other countries that I don't know. I love you guys. Take care. Happy New Year and Merry Christmas.